Thanks for joining us, Andrew. If you don't mind just introducing yourself to the network.
Okay, my name is Andrew Wilson. I'm a New Zealand educated teacher, found his way to Canada, and I teach a grade one class in Fitzroy Harbour, a small country school on the outskirts of Ottawa, the capital city of Canada.
Brought you to Canada.
A Canadian wife.
Yeah, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll do it. Were you always interested in being an educator, or did you have a 2 a.m. moment that kind of redirected you towards that?
Yes, I did have a 2 a.m. I was actually leaning towards business studies, but I just felt it wasn't for me. Then one day I was volunteering at a school, and I just thought, why not? I can get paid to this volunteering, and went off to teachers college, and the grades and the college just went hand in hand, and I went, this is meant to be. And it motivates me each time I go to school work, so it's a passion of mine. Just so each day I'm motivated to go to see these kids. It's not a dredge, so I'm going, yep, this is it.
New Zealand coming to Canadian education system. What's like the biggest difference you've seen?
Oh, I it's a tough one. One thing I do like about New Zealand, I mean, being a relatively small country, we're only looking at 4.5 million people, the whole country. But if I was teaching a child language and math in one part of the country and that kid leaves and goes to another part of the country, that child learns the same math and the same language, the same resources. So the Ministry of Education in New Zealand ensures that everyone's teaching the right material. And that's one big thing I found when coming to Ontario. You can go from one district to another and or teaching one classroom to another, one school to another, and they all could be teaching different language resources or math resources. But recently, I am seeing a lot more unified resources, like in our school district, that we all teach using the math as a foundation or the same language as a foundation, and the teacher has the freedom to build on top of that foundation.
It how do you how do you address that? Because in New Zealand, I guess there's just like a few cultures. There's like what the Maori culture, and then
Yeah.
there's the native culture. So you're kind of dealing with like two there. And it seems like in Canada, it's maybe like six, eight, something like that. A lot
Right
more.
on.
How
Right on.
complicated does that get for an educator?
I mean, I really have a passion for the Indigenous people, and New Zealand, it is a lot easier than here in Canada. We have one main culture group, the Maori people, and it's easy to teach the language. Their language is fairly straightforward in pronouncing, and the whole curriculum is around Indigenous culture, is around that one language, the one
Yeah.
people. But coming to Canada, Ontario, you're right. But our school board is focused on the land we're at, where our school is on. And so it has narrowed it down. So all the resources that we get to use is usually filtered for our area. Like if I found a great resource, sort of would be best just to filter it with our consultants, Indigenous consultants. Not it's just sort of that we are teaching appropriate materials for our area. We've got great consultants, Indigenous consultants working for our school district, school board, and that we can reach out anytime for advice.
One of the things that you started off and you led with was that you like you don't get the Sunday scaries, and you're just like ready to go every week, every day, and excited for it. How do you everybody has to combat burnout. How do you overcome and achieve that victory?
I guess the biggest thing I've learned recently is routines. First, my family. I have my family to draw on. Got wife and two kids. But one thing I recently found around Christmas time, actually just this year. So I've been teaching at this in Canada, Ontario, in this school for about seven. But getting up with routines, starting off with exercising, 30 minutes meditation, and just get that blood circulating and just facing the day and knowing that the kids in my classroom are I have responsibility to them.
Is that what is that driving motivation? That's that what is that responsibility? because we all have that, it's the job, you got to do something to earn the paycheck, but you can tell it's like more of the moral and ethical responsibility. So how do you define that?
That's a tough one. Where do you start? I mean, like first and foremost, you're there to help them. I mean, there is the curriculum, but there's more than the curriculum. Like where my project develops, it's more being a good citizen and so forth. So there's many multifacets things to it. So which makes it fun. It's just not. That's what I do love about my position as an elementary teacher, being in my little grade one. I do have the curriculum responsibility, yes, but there's a lot of freedom that gives me a little tentacles to reach out and do little fun projects like the one I've been doing. So it gives a spice of life. I know it's a bit harder when you go in different grades that you split out. You do math here, language there. But fortunately, in my class right now, I have the whole class to myself, except for when a teacher comes in to teach French. So when I have that sort of freedom, it's like, well, what are we going to do today, guys?
You talked about your project. We can get into that. I know that dives into incorporating the indigenous perspectives and building bridges with those community members between them in the classrooms.
Well, I mean, like we start off with a curriculum was my foundation. We're talking about science in the classroom, and part of my grade one curriculum is talking about cycles and seasons. And I came across a resource called 13 Moons on a Turtle's Back, and it's an indigenous book written by Samantha Smate and Dr. David Anderson. And it was like what we talked about initially. I had to get that book filtered that it's related to the culture of indigenous people in my area. So once that was cleared, it sort of allowed me to delve in there, and it works perfectly because that book looks at the 13 moons, it looks at the seasons, and allowed me to do a compare and contrast between indigenous calendar and our modern calendar that we use. So up on my wall, I had a big turtle with the 13 moons, 13 moons and the seasons. And on the other side, I had our 10 months of a school year and managed to compare. And so that was I guess, the birthing place of the project once I was able to use this book, because it was like, where is it? Our school board is quite into following the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. And it was like, this is something I've looked at before, use that as an avenue to help me, and I'll explain further, the social entrepreneurial program. And sorry, I'm jumping a little bit. I'll tie it all together. And this program, it allows you spread out to tentacles. It's a social. You find an issue, you can either do educate, or you can do an entrepreneurial project, which is to raise money for that program. And so I sort of brought it together. So started off with the science curriculum, found this book to go with it, and used that book to pique the children's interest. I brought in another book called Braiding Street Grass. Excuse the forgetting the author, but in that book it talks about indigenous creation, story of creation, where Sky Woman, indigenous god, landed on a turtle, and that's how we get Turtle Island. And it just naturally evolved from that. We created a STEAM activity from that idea, where I gave the kids newspaper and tape. That's the two items, and they had to build a structure to hold as many books as they can. And they were in groups, and they had to problem solve. It was really neat how they came up with it. We're only talking about 6-year-olds here, and they had to come up with a structure. And I compared it with them and said, "Hey, this is your turtle, and the books are going to be like the Sky Woman landing on the turtles." So here we are going from talking about cycles to a STEAM activity, and it just naturally came together. Another big thing here in Canada is the reconciliation for them worldwide. People around the world, it's a reconciliation is with Indigenous people of Canada. Read a little. Our initial is a Truth and Reconciliation Commission of 94 actions, call to action for the whole country. And One part of it is for focuses on education, and it's called Action 63, which advocates for annual commitment to Aboriginal education issues, like building the students' capacity for intercultural understanding. So it's using Indigenous culture to help educate the kids. And so that's where I was bringing in multifaceted. So we're using the curriculum, we're bringing in STEAM, we're bringing in the Indigenous culture, all part of my project. So I never planned this project as it came in. Yes, I need to teach um, the curriculum, science, and I would have just done this Four Seasons and Habitat. But because of this book, it became a focus on turtles. And it was a beautiful thing. It just evolved naturally. The kids got excited. And that was the early part of our school year. Then spring comes along, and the next curriculum activity is characteristics of living things, which is we brought back the idea of turtles again. And then we just lined up and we organized speakers from our provincial park, the staff, they spoke to us about turtles. We brought an Indigenous speaker from our school board to talk about the importance of turtles to his culture. And we sort of summed it up, finished off with the school year with a field trip to a turtle conservation. But the journey just evolved in different parts. I mean, like at the beginning of this calendar year, I joined the Thinkering collective, and I was so fortunate to be partnered with Dr. Folker, who mentored me in the ideas and gave me this opportunity to say, hey, would you like to make a coloring book? And I'll go, coloring book? Make a book, you know? So she explained her story, and we said, yeah. Well, I went back to my kids, the students, because it's going to be their project as well as our class project. And the kids they were excited about it. And we got drawing turtles in different habitats, basking on a log, swimming in a river, basking on rocks. So yeah, it just evolved. And that's going back to that social entrepreneurial project that we're doing. We developed a social issue, and our social issue reflects the United Nations sustainability goal, which is looking after our environment, our waterways. And here in Ontario, like most places around the world, turtles are either endangered or an issue. So that was our awareness part. We brought awareness to the role that turtles have in our community, in our waterways, our watershed. So yeah, and that's where the kids got excited. Fitzroy School, St. Michael Fitzroy, is on a beautiful location. We have the Ottawa River just on our doorstep. I can look outside the window, and there is the river, and it is beautiful. So we made that connection with turtles. We're connecting to the students. So there's a lot of interest with the kids. They made a connection. The role of turtles is to clean the waterways. What do we have on our back doorstep? A waterway. So we had a big focus on the Ottawa River watershed as well. So there's many facets to our project, and it just evolved. It wasn't like I planned this. I didn't write a plan at the beginning of the year in September and say, we're going to look at turtles. We're going to advocate for turtles, raise money for turtles, do a coloring book. I didn't even plan I was going to team up with you guys, Thinkering Collective, and I'm glad I got myself into it. So it's been a amazing journey. Part of the entrepreneurial part is raising money for an organization or an issue. And I just doing a sort of Google searching and came across a nonprofit called Turtle Guardians here in Ontario. And they're just another advocate group who reach out to turtles. But one thing they did offer which was a great benefit to my students and myself, was they have a little course called Turtle Guardian Level 1. And it's an online course, and my students all did it. And at the end, there was a test, and they get a little business card, ID, Visa-sized card, credit card, and they said their name and their Level 1 Guardian. So while they threw that, their knowledge of turtles, Ontario turtles, I have to be specific here, just was phenomenal. It was like some of the, oh yeah, we saw a turtle. Oh, what type of turtle? Oh, it was just a painted turtle. as if it was, they just knew it. But yeah, no, they came in, brought in photos, shared photos, told me stories. My mom helped me rescued a turtle across the road. There was a turtle in the backyard. The excitement of and the interest of the kids just grew. And so I had to say thank you to Turtle Guardian for their program and their helping us. And so that was natural flowing. So when Dr. Mara Falker offered us the coloring book, we haven't quite finished it, but the proceeds from selling this coloring book will go 100% to the Turtle Guardians.
That's
And
so
we're looking forward to it.
So there's something awesome to that. Talked about a term earlier. You said reconciliation.
Yes.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a term coined by our school board. It's pretty much taking the reconciliation that was called to action for our country, Canada, to help restore what was taken away from Indigenous people. But the reconciliation is us doing something in the classroom. The teacher's doing something, and our school board is doing something. They invested lots in Indigenous consultants and resources. Nearly every month, something shows up at our school that the school board has purchased to support us teachers in implementing a sound Indigenous appropriate culture relevant curriculum.
It's
So
always
actually,
great. Oh, go ahead.
I actually want to let you know there's more to my journey that with my kids. I partnered up with an American classroom, a grade 2 classroom in Virginia. And it was pretty exciting because we worked together for a short time. They got together and we talked about they were going to share about their watershed down in Virginia. And we talked about our watershed, and we had a Zoom meet, and we shared our ideas with each other. So it evolved. All of a sudden, my ideas becoming international. I know we're so close, we're family, but it was locating where their school is on the States, looking at the school's watershed. So we had this partnership. They had an expert, and we joined in with their meeting. It was really good, and it was great to see this little partnership. And we'll definitely be looking at something in the new year. And to finish it off, yes, we talked about the science curriculum, but in the language curriculum, right in grade 1, we sort of talk about persuasive language, and that's convincing and trying to convince people to change their needs, right? And we came together as this class to write up to send to our government to save the turtles. So we wrote it up together. Students typed it up. We sent it off to our Minister of Environment here in Ontario. We sent one letter off to him. A class set. All the kids typed up a letter, file letter, sent it away. Using a similar letter, modified it, and sent one to our city councillor as well. So that was all part of advocating for the turtles. And we all did that right at the very end of the year. So we haven't seen the results from that. So I'm looking forward to September to see what these people have to say. So it's been quite a journey for such a simple project and a little grade 1, grade 6, 6-year-old kids.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the action part of reconciliation. There's the last part, and that's what's cool about like what comes next is part of what we do at the Thinkering Collective is we want to help people bring in ideas and expand them and scale them. Anything else you want to touch on, Andrew, before we go?
I am looking forward to seeing this coloring book, and we're just looking forward. I know Dr. Mara Falker is fairly busy, and so she's been the editor and the publisher, and so but it's been a great resource. Like, I wouldn't have thought about this, and being part of the Thinkering, the collective, has helped take my little project to a new level, and it's quite exciting. I could see it. I can't wait for my grade 1s students to see the final product and knowing the impact they will have on helping save the turtles.